It's the After the Show podcast, precious.
We don't care, we're about to swear on the air. It's the After the Show, so tune in if you dare. KVJ, get your skate every single day. It's uncensored. We can say what we want to say.
Alrighty, here we go. Welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast. Happy Tuesday. I am
Tuesday.
back here today. Glad to be with you guys after my little family vacation that we took over the Thanksgiving break. So nice to be here.
We enjoyed watching all your videos. We were talking about them when you were gone.
We had a lot of fun.
It looks like a lot of fun. And that Caitlin is good with some editing.
She is. Yeah, she did a very good job. She did a synopsis of every single day. You can see quick little snapshots of what it looked like as we traveled from Gainesville and then up through the Carolinas and Atlanta and Knoxville and Lexington into Indianapolis, Detroit, and Columbus, and then Cincinnati was the final stop. So it's kind of cool to go to those towns. Some of them we don't get to too often. Like, for instance, Cincinnati. That's where we were on Sunday. And my son and I went to a football game while my wife and my older son, Caitlin, and my older son's boyfriend, they went on a bar tour around Cincinnati and had an amazing time. I saw the photos.
That's cool.
And I was like, I'm happy you guys had a good time. I would love to have done that. So I'm like, I got to get back to Cincinnati, hopefully when it's not like 8 degrees. But
yeah, how do you pick between bar tour and live sports? Those are your favorite things.
Yeah, I know. It was tough. It was torn. I mean, I had a great time being with Cannon, but I would have easily loved to have been on a brewery tour. And they said they've got a great brewery district in Cincinnati.
What is the sporting event you went to? Live basketball?
On Sunday, we went to the Steelers-Bengals game.
Oh, you went to football.
Went to football, an NFL game. Yeah, I grew up a Steelers fan.
Gotcha.
From where I was.
Gotcha.
It was kind of cool to go and check that out. It was a good game, high scoring, lots of action there. Freezing cold, though. And pretty much even down into Florida. It's, we're chilly for us, but it's pretty cold up there. Like, it was not fun for some of those days just being in it. I mean, I was having a good time while I was in it, but man, it really, and this is the thing I don't get, because we went to some games that were indoors, like we went to the game on Thanksgiving for the Lions and Bears, and it's a cold city, but it's indoors. It's so much more enjoyable. I'm like, why do these?
Was that in Chicago or Detroit?
That's Detroit.
Oh, in Detroit. Okay.
It was in Detroit.
So their stadium is indoors.
Yeah, Ford Field is the name of it.
Okay.
And I don't get that. I know some people are like, oh, this is a great differential, and maybe some people don't mind the cold. It was so much more miserable being in the cold at the Ohio State game on Saturday and then the Bengals game on Sunday than being at the Lions-Bears game on Thursday.
But if you ask like Panda, who's from Buffalo, and the Bills play in the open stadium in Orchard Park, they love it.
Right.
They don't want an indoor stadium.
Right, I know. And
you have to give the fans what they want. If you're going to redo your stadium, which they are, the Bills are redoing their stadium, guess what? It's still going to be outdoors.
I guess. I have my own personal thing. One, it's selfish because I'm a pansy to the cold. But two, the game's not the same. It's really not. And, I won't get into a sports debate, but I'm not a fan of it. Just sitting there in it. It was pretty nasty. And Janelle said, yeah, I definitely want to hear Kevin's take on the Ohio State game and their actions after the game. Please. It was a weird game. It's a big rivalry. It's a hated rivalry. And it starts with there were troops from Ohio battling Michigan for a little strip around Toledo. This is before the game even got going.
Troops?
Yes. This is back in the 1800s when they're trying to figure out the borders. And so these two states have hated each other. Then it carried into football. So
it goes way back.
It goes way back. And there's true hatred in this rivalry. And so we went to the 120th edition of this game. They've been playing this game for 120 years.
Dang. That is somebody. You talk about holding a grudge.
Yes, and it's getting to the point where there's pretty much fights every single year because that's all they do. They beat into these kids' heads about hatred for the other team. They won't even say, in Columbus around Ohio, they don't even say Michigan. They say the team up north. So they don't even refer to them. You're not supposed to even say that word. You walk around campus in Columbus, and they take little X's, red X's, and they put it over every M on every university building. In fact, even McDonald's had red marking out the M, the yellow M on McDonald's. All the McDonald's were, taped off. That's how it's called Hate Week.
So this week, this game for the 120th was hosted in Ohio.
It was in Ohio. It was in Columbus. And crazy enough, I was lucky enough to be at one of the top 5 coldest games to ever be in that stadium. That was pretty awesome. And
was the whole family with you?
yes,
Okay.
we had everybody going to this game.
Everybody's in the stands.
Not everybody made the whole game. Ohio State was a 20.5-point favorite, supposed to blow the doors off of Michigan.
Wow.
And Michigan, all their star players were out. This shouldn't have been no contest. And baffling. Ohio State, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. They had the worst game plan. Michigan had 2 good players, and they decided to run at them the entire game. And Michigan wound up winning.
Wow.
And so there's a thing that started. It started Ohio State planting flags. So when you win, you beat an opponent on their home field. Oklahoma did this first in Columbus against the Buckeyes. They planted their flag. So what happened? Some of the former players got on those Buckeyes, said, you let someone come into your house and disrespect you like that, planting their flag on the block O.
In the middle of your field.
And they said, that's why your program's soft. That's why you lost, because we wouldn't ever allow that to happen. So these players are being called soft. And then Michigan did it the last time they beat them 2 years ago there. And Michigan is not supposed to be winning this thing. So when they upset them, Michigan did the flag thing again, and the Buckeyes sing the alma mater. You heard the crowd starting to boo. They turn around. They see the flag. That's in their head. They go in there. They're like, fuck that. They go right for that flag. They start tearing at it. Fight erupts. I'm like, hold up. If you go to my video, you can see it from where I was, because we were walking out. I'm like, wait a minute. This is going to get nasty, because I saw the M going there. I'm like, this could start a fight. And sure enough, it was so crazy. The cops started pepper spraying football players.
Oh, my gosh.
It was insane. I mean, what are you going to do, though, when you've got – they wound up getting probably 50 to 100 cops that finally broke that up on the center line when they got it separated. But, you know, some of these guys are 360 pounds.
Right.
And when they're big and swinging and all they do is work out, I mean, you know, you're going to catch a couple haymakers. I saw one dude down there, and he had, like, just blood gushing out of his head, and they were whooping the shit out of each other.
Oh, damn.
So it was nasty. And so now they're trying to, sort that out. And the big sports debate is, you should, if you lose, don't let them do that. But you got to understand the back and forth of it. They don't allow taunting in the game. It is taunting. And these players had it in their head that they have been called soft for years for allowing that to happen. So what would you do? If somebody called you a pussy and said that you are not a true Buckeye because you don't let someone do that to your house, they're a guest in your house, would you let somebody come in and take a dump on your kitchen table?
Absolutely not.
Right.
I would have done exactly what the Ohio players did, which was go in there for the fist of fury.
Yeah, so that's a huge debate on sports, and people are torn on both sides of it. I would imagine they'll probably, because there were about 5 different fights that happened that day.
Oh,
it happened in the
geez.
Florida State game, North Carolina State, people trying to plant flags or doing stuff, and people come up because the other players that have been there before say, you don't allow someone to do that, even though you lose. And so I think they need to ban that. Unless you just want everybody to fight, and that's what you're looking for, because that's all you're going to get.
We got to ban it.
Yeah.
We got to ban it.
So we'll see. People have opinions. Be like, you're just soft. That's what's wrong with America. You should be able to take it. You know what? If you lose, don't lose the game then.
It's going to inevitably happen. Guess what? One team always loses.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how it goes down. So, yeah, that's what that story was on that. Now, the one thing that I will tell you is I got over this way back when Ohio State had a disappointing loss to the Florida Gators. I think that was the year I told myself, I'm like, what are you doing? Don't get upset about this. It is a game. And really, I think they need to reset this rivalry and all rivalries. Be like, you know what? It's okay to really want to win and show how important it is. You got to love your school, and you want to beat your rival, and it's fun to have it a little chippy and, things like that, and you smack talk each other in good fun. But this Ohio State-Michigan thing has got to the point where it's just toxic. And the players, I think Ohio State was so clanked by all this, because they make it sound like it's life or death. No, no one's going to, you're not going to die. The sun will rise the next day. It's all good. Move on.
Yeah, and it's escalating. So something cooler heads must prevail, because what's going to happen next year is if it goes down again, someone's going to end up losing their life.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be just for what?
We're getting to the point where, it's getting nasty. And so
somebody's got to step in and stop it.
yeah, I mean, I'm still baffled at what happened and how Ohio State lost that game. There's no excuse. Really bad. The coach, they say if he doesn't win the national championship, he'll be fired. And he's Ohio State was number 2 in the country, and he recruits very well, but you just can't lose that game. That's his 4th loss to Michigan in a row.
Ew.
And so they said, sorry, dude, don't care how good you are, you got to win that one. So he's got a little bit of pressure on him. So we'll see. And he's got to have, he has to have police around his house at all times for all the death threats.
Damn.
People want to kill him. And so that's just like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? We're going to seriously kill somebody?
For a football game.
Yeah, just insane. So, between the cold in Cincinnati and Columbus, and then the other thing, we went to a basketball game on Friday for Ohio State. They were up 12 points, and with a minute and a half left, I said, you'd have to work really hard to lose this. Guess what? Ohio State lost it.
Oh, no.
Last second buzzer beater. I was like, how the hell? So, honestly, it was, and I tried to take it in good stride. I didn't let any of it, bother me. So basketball lost, football lost.
But you got to be starting to think, is it me?
Yes. It did not work out well. So my teams lost it. The thing that really got to me, and I alluded to this before I went on the trip, is, my dad has a really nice house. And to give you the history of how we're here real quick, it was my dad's dad, my grandfather. He was big into oil and Quaker State and all that. He owned a bank. He sold that out, was smart with money, made a ton of it. My parents got the inheritance, and that's really where the money in the family came from. My mom poured it into the house, and they've spent a ton of money and all that kind of stuff. And, I've never taken money from my parents. When I was a kid, I said, you know what? Because as soon as I take any money from them, they have a say in my life. And I always wanted to be independent. And it's a pride thing for me, too.
Sure.
That's just how I am. And I'm a minimalist. I'm somebody that I don't need a lot to be happy. I bought the house I could afford when I was 25 years old. When I came to South Florida, I still live in that house. And it's
Same house.
Small-ass house. I don't have a car. I mean, I am as minimalist as they get.
You should have a car, but that's a different story.
I hear you. But I'm just for the effect of knowing that it's not the money that concerns me.
Bare bones. You can make it happen on bare bones.
Yes. But we've got a situation where my mom built the house. They went to a church they were involved in, and there would be people that always come stay with them. Well, my mom really loved entertaining. She felt like it was a service she provided the church. There was a woman at the church, and she had a niece that was in a tough situation and a domestic issue with her husband. He apparently was threatening her. She tried to call 911. He smacked the phone out of her hand. She needed to get away. She was Texas or Florida, one of those states. So she goes to Ohio to get away from him. She's got a young kid, and she's pregnant. So my dad felt it on his heart to let her come into the house and stay. And lo and behold, apparently her and her man make up, and he now moves into the house.
What?
Right.
The abusive man is
man
living in the house with your dad.
living in the house. And so they have the whole upstairs area, and there's 3 levels, which all are kind of functional with kitchens and all that kind of stuff. And so they're living there.
How?
Well, the kindness of my dad's heart. And so I know they'd done this before, so I didn't interject too much. But it was something that was kind of weighing on me because my dad had talked about how much money he's given away in the last year.
Oh, boy.
And it's a lot, and how much he has left. And
boy.
He's blowing pretty quick through the cash.
Oh, boy.
And so I'm like, I don't know how he's gotten rid of this much money. It's not like he's Warren Buffett. Yeah, he's got a little bit, but he doesn't have that kind of money. And
it's not sustainable.
It's not, no. And, look, if he ever runs into health issues, like his dad wound up his last 3 years in a nursing home, and that's not cheap.
No. Does he have long-term care insurance?
Yeah, he has that.
Okay,
and
okay,
but
that's
you still
good.
need a good bit amount for the retirement. He's getting close to that. I'm under the amount that you need.
Oh,
and I'm
boy.
like, Dad, you gave away a ton of money last year.
Who did it go to?
That's what I don't understand. I don't know. But it's pretty baffling. And
Is he supporting that woman and her kid and the man?
So we pull up to my dad's house, and there's a really nice truck sitting out front of it. It's all jacked up and high and all that kind of stuff.
It's his truck, the
He's like,
abuser.
That's the abuser's truck. Dad gave him $17,000 for that truck.
What?
Yeah, he's like, I thought he'd get something to be functional. My dad, meanwhile, has a little like $9,000 car that you can't. We couldn't.
A Toyota.
We had to do. It wasn't even that. It's smaller than that. Like it can only fit like 2, maybe 3 people, and so we had to do 2 car rides to get us up to my dad's house. That's how small his car is. And so here's this abuser that's driving around in this jacked up truck,
living in his house
that my dad gave him money for, rent free, utility free, and already. Because the first trip up there was the Queen, my wife, and my daughter Caitlin. And so they found the girl and they talked to her and they said she just had a weird vibe. And she seemed like she was scared, like we caught her off guard and she was just very nervous around us.
She should be.
Well, and I don't know what it is. Because she was hiding downstairs and I never went down to confront her because, look, she's got a young daughter and she's got a baby and I don't want to put her in a tough situation because I don't think it's her. I think it's him. But I got to meet him. He was, country manners and friendly and all that. Strong-ass grip. He is country-ass strong. This is a strong dude.
And he's not from Ohio.
No, I think he's from Florida. Florida, I think Dad said he came up from.
Do you know his name and everything?
I do, yeah, Dad, but I haven't.
Have you run it?
I haven't imprinted it.
I can run it and find out what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think it's probably about time to do that.
Yeah, you think?
But we walked away from that after hearing that he had given them the money and everything that had gone on. I talked to Dad about, like, look, dude, I'm like, he finally got a job. I'm like, this guy needs to at least give you some utility money. But then after that, I had a conversation with my whole family, and I said, look, we all got bad vibes from this situation. And I said, I think this family is just bilking my dad for all of his money. They're
gonna kill him.
Yeah.
They're going to figure out how to take his money and then kill him, and this is gonna be a Dateline special.
Yeah.
I watched a Dateline special about just this scenario.
Yeah.
You have got to figure out a way.
So here I am in this situation. I am trying to figure it out. And look, I am the kind of person where I don't want people telling me how to live my life, and I won't tell my dad how to live his life. But I will. The thing that is sticking with me is since my mom passed, I hear her voice in my head more than I ever did.
Interesting.
And I don't know that it's anything spiritual or whatever. It's just the fact that it's the only way I can hear my mom's voice now. If you don't know, she passed from COVID like 3 years ago. And she would say to me, she's like, Kevin, you need to help your father. And when I was there, I just kept hearing that voice like she was speaking it to me. Kevin, you need to help your father.
That's real.
And let me tell you, when I went in the house too, my mom kept it an immaculate house. And I think she had people that were cleaning. This house, it smelled, my dad's picked up 2 other dogs and 1 other cat since then. They're in the house. It smells like animal. It smells like cat urine now. The furniture that was nice, the dogs have torn up. It is getting to the point where it's, 2 to 3, I haven't been there in 2 years. So it's getting to the point where, it's like it hasn't been cleaned since I left 2 years ago. And it's starting to get smell and funk. And my daughter, Caitlin, she was having whatever's going on in the air, was having a massive allergy attack, and we couldn't stay that long. And so you've got all these kind of things that are brewing on this. And so I just heard that voice, Kevin, you need to help your father. And so I came home, thanked Dad for the hospitality and the nice trip. And I said, hey, did you hear from them about the utility? He said, yes. And I said, look, I think you need to get them out of there. And I think this needs to start.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Your dad may have to sell this house. And that may be the only way you get rid of them.
Well, we'll get into that. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
if this is too much house for him, he needs to sell that house. Because once they've established residency, now they live there. You can't kick them out. Now you have to evict them. If they're getting mail there, your dad is so fucked on so many levels.
Well, he's an attorney, one that's good. But yeah, I've already talked to some other people, and I've gotten the conversations about how do you make this happen. And so Dad is going to be letting them know, hey, this needs to come to an end. And I said, I think 3 months is more than generous for them to find another place. And so he let the wife know that, hey, this needs to come to an end. And she said, okay, well, we have had an eye on a mobile home. Will you give us $16,000 to buy it? I mean, I was like, no, this has got to end. And so I don't know how he's going to take it when he hears that you need to leave this place and the guy that has been your cash cow is not going to buy you a mobile home. So
this could be a very dangerous situation for your dad.
I know. So I've got concern, and I'm, like I said, I'm not trying to overstep my bounds. I want to be like, Dad, I'm here to protect you and support you through this. And I'm just telling you that your family has got a vibe. And other people have been in his ear saying, you need to get this family out of your house. And so it's not just coming from me. He referenced two other people, the people he works with and somebody else he's close to have told him the same thing. And so, so we could be on a really crazy, rocky road here trying to make this happen. I hope they go easily and quietly into the night and be like, all right, well, thanks for the hospitality, and just drive away. But it could go the other way, too. And so, we might be in it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
This is awful.
It is. It could be. I mean, I'm hoping, look, I'm praying for the best, and I hope that it resolves itself relatively quick. You never know.
You gotta give me this guy's name. We gotta see what we're dealing with.
Yeah, we can look into it. And I don't want to,
I don't want to dox him. No, I don't want to dox him. I want to gather information so that everybody who's getting involved in this situation knows exactly who they're dealing with.
Yeah, so I told Dad, I said, hey, if you need me, if I have to, I would be up there in a heartbeat. Not that I can do it, because like I said,
you can't go alone.
This dude you need to get the police. I'm not going to be any help.
No.
This guy is a strong motherfucker, and he's young. He's probably late 20s. So he is in the peak of ass-kicking years. So he would whoop me and my dad's ass in a heartbeat.
You'll be fine, but you have to go with protection.
Yeah, so we're gonna see where we are with this, and so we'll see. Like I said, I'm hoping that this thing resolves itself quietly, but you've heard these kind of stories that this is how it begins and that it spins into something else. I mean, the fact that they got the balls to just keep bilking my dad for money. And look, he has given away an alarming amount of money. And I have not said, Dad, where did all of this money go? It is a ton of money that he has given away in the last year. And he finally said, I need to stop giving away. I'm down to this amount. I need to start. I'm like, yes, you do. And I was unaware that he was just giving out money. So like I said, I'm not asking for it. I don't want it. I don't even care if I get a damn inheritance.
No, I don't want an inheritance either.
Yeah,
that's not what this is about. This is about protecting them from being taken advantage of. And seniors are so susceptible. My mom, same thing. Your dad, same thing. Like they're too naive. Mm-hmm. They don't see what we see.
Yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely. So that's all been in my head of thinking of that. My dad is, at the senior age, and he seems like he still has his wits about him, but the fact that when he told me how much money he's given away in the last year, that's where you're like, oh crap. And then he told me that, I had that in my head, that he's given away that amount of money. And then $17,000 for this guy's truck. I'm like, what? Why would you buy this fucking guy a truck?
Why? Like, this guy shouldn't even be in the house.
Yeah.
And we're gifting him a truck?
Yeah. And how much else have they taken from him? And I don't have that number. I don't know.
Kevin, when your
I don't know who all got the money and how much.
When your dad's not there, they may be going through his stuff and have access to all of his money. Because if you have account numbers and passwords and you can get into things, you can do financial devastation. And this is somebody who's in the house and probably has access to all of those things.
He's got the most valuable documents locked in a safe at his office. And so that's where he keeps all that. He's let me know all that stuff.
But bills come to the house.
Yeah, absolutely. There's other things. Yeah, depending upon how clever this guy might be and what level of an asshole. I don't know. Like I said, he was countrymanly to me, but Dad just talks about how he's always hearing them fighting.
Oh,
and then they've got the two kids and the babies are always crying. Look, my dad's very sensitive to noise anyway. And it's,
they're always fighting?
Yes. And it's destroying his mental health. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, Dad, they got to go.
Did he give them a date and say, you need to be out by...
That's what I pressed him on. I said, you have to give them a hard date to say, this is the day that you need to be out of my house, or we will start legal proceedings. To do all that. So that's what I'm pushing him on right now. But, hey, this with your mom. You're dealing with a lot of stuff with her. It's hard. You keep saying, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you don't get a response, or there's waffling and there's all that kind of stuff. Because, look, I wanted to be black and white, clean cut, do this, say this. And, look, like I said, he's the attorney. So full well how you have to have disclosure and documentation, all that kind of stuff. Do the right thing, Dad.
He should know better.
He should. Look, my parents have always been wildly generous. They have such a soft heart. And the best thing they've given me is a heart for people. And I do. I truly love and care about people and their well-being. And I feel for this woman and her kids. And hopefully there's a good side of this guy, and that good side comes forward and says, okay, I may be a little harsh with my wife and I may have some issues there, but I'm not going to try to rob this guy anymore, and I'm not going to be an asshole about getting out of his house after he's shown me a year of rent-free generosity. But we'll see. So who knows?
Oh, my. You got to get back up there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'll depending upon what steps we're at and where it goes.
You got to go back up there, and you got to bring some people with you.
Yeah, like I said, I will be in touch with all the agencies and try to do what I can from here. But I'm going to have to learn about it. And look, I think probably a lot of us do. It's an interesting phase in our life. Like I said, you're dealing with it, where now you have to start, in a sense, parenting your parents, being their protectors when they always were yours, and learning these kind of things, realizing, oh my gosh, I mean, my dad is like a sheep right now, just walking around in a pack of wolves. And
the wolves are his roommates.
Yeah, right.
He let the wolf in.
Right.
And once you let the wolf in and the wolf starts getting mail there,
yeah,
it is.
I don't think you do it again. And look, my mom was there. My mom was the tough-edged one, and she was the one that would be the conductor. And I just told him, I said, look, I think Mom, based on what I saw, my mom would be devastated. I don't think my mom would put up with this shit.
No, she would have never allowed for the guy to move in. The abuser does not get to move in.
It's gone to the other level. Yeah, and that was it when Dad because Dad is the one that made the decision to let this couple in. Look, they had another couple that was starting off and trying to build their own house, but they were always trying to build their own house, and they were there like over a year, a young couple. So they've done this before. So my mom set the precedent. She let them in, but they were from the church. He didn't have domestic issues. He was a young pastor and blah, blah, blah. When Dad let this dude in, I'm like, why is the guy, she's running from a guy for a domestic situation, and the domestic guy winds up in your house? I'm like, this is completely different than any other house guest you've had.
Your mom wouldn't have put up with this.
Right. That's where I think Mom would be like, no.
No.
You are not. And then they continue to fight in the house?
Oh, my gosh. And you have to hear the kids crying?
Right. Yep. So,
yeah.
there we are. So I know that's some heavy shit, and I wasn't going to do that on the regular show, but yeah, that's what I found out. So that's the tea there. So,
well, let me just say this. That voice that you're hearing of your mother telling you to help your father, do not stop listening to it. Because she is telling you to take action, do something. If you do nothing, your dad will be further injured by this.
Yeah.
This may not be just financial injury that I'm talking about.
I know.
So look at it like that and think the worst is possible.
I am.
And work back from that.
I'm going at it right now that it's not going to go well, and I need to look into everything. If this is a worst case scenario, what do I got to do to protect my dad in Ohio from down here?
Be prepared for the worst, but hope for the best. Expect this guy to get violent and possibly homicidal and possibly suicidal and possibly all the sidles.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and start there and work our way back.
Yeah, I'll be, and my dad and I text all day, every day anyway, but I'll continue to be asking, be like, hey, where is this? What's going on? What's happening? Thankfully, Dad was open to this, and I didn't know where he was going to be, because at that point, I'm like, okay, if I can't get Dad and he doesn't see this and he's kind of pushing back a little bit, you never want to go around your parents, but it's sometimes, you're like, okay.
How do you get power of attorney over an attorney? That's what you would have to do.
Yeah, I
because
know.
I'm looking into that in Texas. I have to get power of attorney over my mom because she's just that far gone mentally.
My dad's had a law partner for 40 years that I would go to him and be like, I'm never comfortable about going around somebody's back. But I would in that situation and contact him and say, look, I'm very concerned about this. I'm down here. You know the law. You know the situation. You're closer to this than I am. Can you help me out? Help a brother out. So I'm starting to get a little worried about this one.
You should be.
Yeah.
Keep hearing your mom. Ask her for advice. Ask her out loud when you're alone. Ask her for guidance. Say, Mom, I'm struggling with this. Show me what I should do. Lead me in the ways to make the right decision for Dad so that he is protected.
Yeah, I do. That's where I am. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm always having conversations to me and with God or whomever it might be. I think there's energy out there. I think there is guidance. Look, and it's not just a Christian thing. I mean, you look at Native Americans and all that. They've always looked to ancestors and whatever for guidance, and I believe in all that stuff. And so I do, but I'm only hearing the one thing. Kevin, you need to help your father, because she would say that to me so often. That's all I'm hearing.
Well,
and
she's putting that
else.
in your head
Yeah.
because she knows you know what it means.
Yeah.
I believe that spirits speak to us in terms we can understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend who's a good medium, and when he gets messages from spirit,
Yeah.
they'll send him something like a picture from a TV show that he watched when he was a
Right,
kid,
yeah.
because he'll know the name of the character, and then he'll say the name of the deceased person to the person who's living, and that's how he makes the connection.
Right.
I think the dead speak to you in terms you will understand.
Yeah.
Your mom knows that you know how to help your father.
I think she'll give me what I need when I need it. Right now, she's just giving me a call to action. Kevin, you need to help your father. And so I'll take it where it is. Hopefully they leave quietly. I then need to get a cleaner to go in there and help Dad with, cleaning, because I don't think he's getting to that. And so, but that's standard and that's easy. So I'm hoping it goes the easy path. And then if not, then, we'll just take whatever life gives you, the next challenge, whatever that might be. So you can only try to do whatever you can to be safe and certain about it. So, But I do appreciate all the feedback. Somebody said, yeah, you need to get on your father's bank account immediately. I know you don't want an inheritance, but people taking advantage of your dad is not where his money should go. And that's what I thought too. It's like, yeah, I mean, if anybody, look, I was very close with my grandfather who made this money. And I know he would be beside himself if he saw that I wasn't getting this, because he always was like,
It's for the kids.
it's for you. Well, I'm the only grandkid.
Yeah.
There's no other grand. I was it, and he treated me like that, and I was,
But the abuser who's living in your dad's house is getting what your grandfather...
He would be losing his mind if he saw that this dude was taking the money and getting all of it.
Ugh.
Yeah. He would not be real thrilled that everything he worked his life for is going to this guy with this kind of character.
I would go in and assume the worst and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see how it
Not
goes.
flipped.
Yeah. I know. I hear. Don't worry. I am taking that, taking that view and looking at it. So, but, though that was really the only challenge that we had. Everything else, I couldn't believe. Everything was pretty flawless. We got a small little crack in the windshield from a rock on the highway.
Other
Hate
than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play?
Right, exactly. So everything else was good. I got to see my oldest son, Colin, who lives in Nashville, and that was nice. And, he quietly came out, not even to us. He's never even come out to me or my wife. He kind of told his sister, Caitlin, to kind of break it to Mom and Dad. I got a boyfriend. And so we got to meet him, and, I thought he was lovely. And
amazing.
So I think my son and his boyfriend are coming down for Christmas. I was not expecting that. So
That's beautiful.
Yes. So to me, just having time with family is amazing. So
How's
was
his
good.
boyfriend's fight skills? If we want to bring him to Ohio.
Don't know, haven't seen it, but just sizing him up, because you got to do that if you grow up in Ohio. You got to size everybody up. Yeah, I was coming out of the stadium. There was a massive brawl going on. The guy's like, I don't know if you want to walk out there, and just ass whooping. It's just what they just love to fight in Ohio.
Ohio is very fighty.
They are very fighty. Yeah, that was it.
Country.
That's the only fights I saw. Buckeye game, Bengal game, just fighting. Yeah, just a bunch of ass kicking. That's what they love doing there. The other thing that I saw too that was kind of crazy, we saw through the time there 6 dead deer by the road.
Oh, like roadkill? Like they hit vehicles?
Yeah, a lot of it was Georgia. I don't know if it's their deer season going on. Maybe it is, but, because Caitlin, look, she's a South Florida girl. She's born in Boynton. She doesn't leave, or go through the rest of the U.S. too often, at least not that way, not on a road trip. She's like, what is going on here with these? Is this like apocalyptic? These dropping dead? I said, no. I said, growing up in Ohio, it was something deer season. It was like a week long. You had to really be careful because those deers get spooked. And so they're just running everywhere because they hear a gunshot and they're like, holy shit. Imagine if you're out being hunted.
Right.
You're just running anywhere you can and they're not thinking, oh, crap, car. And yeah, that was a common thing where you would, hit deer and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it must be deer season in Georgia.
Oh.
So they're going at it. So... yeah, I got to tell you, the Georgia people are kind of feisty, too. And tell me this isn't an odd coincidence. We go to Athens, Georgia, to see the stadium there for University of Georgia. It is 8.5 hours away. We get out at the football stadium, and we're walking over, and I look over, and I see a BR shirt, BR football. It's one of Cannon's teammates from Boca Raton High School.
Whoa.
He's like, "What's up, Cannon?" Is that weird to
That
see
is
somebody?
weird.
Yeah, right at that exact moment, they walked up, and they just started chatting.
Huh.
And then Cannon, I don't know why, they were playing their rivalry game against Georgia Tech, and Cannon wore a Georgia Tech sweatsuit. Because that's where his older brother went. And like the Karens you would imagine from the South, blonde hair comes up. She said, "You got a lot of nerve wearing that around here this week, boy." And I was like, she was serious, too. I think she wanted to kick Cannon's ass. I'm like, he's a 16-year-old kid. She was ready to throw down. And, boy, one of the other big moments that happened, you can see it in the video. We were at a basketball game. On Tuesday night, we're in Lexington, Kentucky. We went to the University of Kentucky to a basketball game. And my wife and Caitlin, they had left, and they went back to the hotel, which is about 2 to 3 blocks away. We're having some wine and whatever. And so I'm walking out. My wife's like, "Yeah, are you on your way back here?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "I dropped the key fob down into the sewer drain."
Oh, no.
So here we are in a rented van.
The key is in the sewer drain?
And we're on night 3 or 4.
Oh, no.
Luckily, there was a guy at the hotel. She had to pay this guy $20 to use his pickup stick, and they had to snake it down into the drain, and were able to get the keys out.
Wow. That's lucky that he had the stick.
You know that moment where you hear something so bad you almost immediately throw up? Yes. I was like, I thought, I'm like, this whole thing's over. Like it was just too good to be true.
A new key fob is so expensive, but you would have had to just get a new key fob. They come out. I've had to do it before.
But how long does it take? Because here we are, we're in Kentucky.
Hours.
Yeah, so they would have a dealer there that could get it to you?
A mobile locksmith will come out, and they'll give you a new key fob, but it's going to cost you like $300, $400, $500, depending on the make and model of the key fob.
Yeah,
and since yours was a Mercedes, $600, $700.
Well, as it is, you know, and I know we had saved up for a very long time for this, and, you know, we sacrificed a lot of things here to make this happen, but that's all I can see. That's why I try to take deep breaths. I'm so uptight about spending money and just, you know, so everything we were doing, I was like, I had to breathe. Then I go to my dad's house, I'm like, yeah.
This guy's got a $17,000 truck, the abuser. Jacked up truck.
It was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
Oh my.
Yeah. All right, so
what
there you
a
go.
trip.
Yeah. So that was all the interesting drama that I didn't get to on the regular show.
I have to go text Jay Bird because Jay Bird went to a back appointment. He had an appointment for his hip and back surgery. He finds out like today how much it's going to cost. So he's probably going.
He's doing the breathing too.
But I have to go call Jay Bird and tell him to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
He's going to love all the juicy details from your trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's his status? Is he getting this done regardless?
I think he realizes that he has to get it done. He tried the
pain
spinal epidural that was supposed to help with pain, but it didn't help.
Oh, wow.
He's still got bone on bone.
Yeah, he seems like every day. You know, people don't see this, but yeah, during commercial breaks, he just makes those wincing movements, or he has his head down the desk.
Or he lays on the floor and he can't get comfortable.
Right.
It sounds like he's like that at home, too, like he can't sleep.
Right, so it's all tied together.
It makes you go crazy when you can't sleep.
Yeah, no doubt. So to me, it doesn't even seem whatever the cost is.
All right, like you just got to do it.
Yeah, payment plans or whatever.
Exactly.
So it is what it is. So will he find out today when the surgery might be?
I don't know.
Okay.
Today he told me he's finding out how much it is. And then I think after that he decides if he wants to do it. So I would expect him to put it off for another month while he figures out if he wants to pay it.
Yeah.
And then maybe he'll schedule it in the new year, but
good Lord, we got some drama, don't we?
if it was me, I would have already had the surgery.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'd do a surgery at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. Some of the comments in the chat, one person said, insurance will cover it after deductible is met. That'd be good, and I hope that. I don't know anything about these type of procedures and deductibles and all that, but I hope that.
Yeah, I don't know where he is, but I think he was saying, like, he still has to come up with, 30% of it, let's say. And that still is tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're wishing the bird the best. We're wishing my dad the best. We're wishing your mom the best.
We are wrapping up 2024 with a bang.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on, including tomorrow. I think maybe we'll get to your mom's experimental surgery that was a fraction of the cost of what the regular thing is. I got to hear about that.
Do you want to hear about it from me, or do you want to hear about it from her?
What am I going to get from her? Because
she's a wild pony ride right now, but you can talk sense to her. And you can say, look, Linda, I got to tell you, we only have 5 minutes, so we got to tell the story in 5 minutes, and then we got to move. Like, you can talk sense to her.
I'd like to have her on here to just, because I want to hear her sunny disposition of it, because you told me about this procedure that's normally like $10K, and she's getting it for $600. And I'm like, what? Okay.
She's a lab rat.
Okay. Yeah. So
basically, she signed up to be a lab rat.
Yeah.
Both of our parents maybe aren't making the best choices financially.
Yeah. So my dad's drama today, your mom's drama tomorrow. So there you go. So you got that to look forward to. That sounds like there might be a little bit more levity in that. So yeah, I can't wait to hear that. So we get to that. So we got a lot of stuff we're unpacking here. I appreciate y'all for being back. Enjoy your Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.